Hi everyone, Bethany Gontano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review, a classic review, of the Smiths' album The Queen is Dead.
The Queen is dead?
It's just the title of the album.
Oh, phew.
She is actually dead though.
The Queen is dead?
Yeah, but it happened a while ago.
Oh, phew.
This is the third full-length LP from legendary UK jangle pop and indie rock outfit, The Smiths. Primarily consisting of drummer Mike Joyce, bassist Andy Rourke, guitarist Johnny Marr, and vocalist and frontman Morrissey, The Smiths were formed in 1982, and disbanded just 5 years later, mostly due to personal and creative disagreements between Marr and Morrissey, which is obviously tragic considering the creative and commercial success the band struck up in their short time together. Like, imagine if The Cure cut things off at Pornography or The Head on the Door. I'm imagining it now and it's messing me up. Yeah, it sucks. But even though the Smiths ended things prematurely, their long-term success and influence has proven to be that of a band with 4 times their lifetime and commercial success, which I think is a show of how long and far great musical ideas can go when they're presented well. The continued fandom for the Smiths, I think, is also a testament to the unique chord they struck with listeners across cultural and generational lines. Now, personally, I will take a moment in this review to say I'm not the biggest fan of their work. I think I tend to be a little picky with some of their stuff. Like, of course, I personally vibe with the messaging of songs like Meat is Murder, and it's pretty easy for me to get caught up in the wild, danceable post-punkisms of tracks like Barbarism Begins at Home. But by that same token, I'm completely unimpressed by tracks such as Rush Home Ruffians. Morrissey brings posh and poetic caterwauling on this track with no real melodic destination in sight, and he does this over weirdly chipper drums and acoustic guitars whose grooves wear out their one-dimensional welcome pretty fast. If I wanted something this sweet, upbeat, English, and slightly punky, I'd rather listen to The Clash's Hateful, which I know sounds dismissive, but I do think Morrissey and the Smiths are an example of a band that sometimes are a little too convinced of their own genius, but they're also an example of a band that when they're on, they are really on. As in their short time together as a band, I think they unlock the fullest potentials for poeticism, irreverence, whimsy, and bittersweet romance in pop music, which is why the Smiths and The Queen is Dead, in my opinion, are so special. That, and they helped set the aesthetic tone, at least somewhat, for pop and alternative rock through the 90s. I mean, this record's already received its fair share of accolades. NME named it the greatest album of all time. It is gold in the US, platinum in the UK, so I hope you don't mind if I heap some extra praise onto this thing too. As The Queen is Dead is an album that is thrilling, charming, captivating, and smart from front to back. Whether it's the fiery 6-minute opener and title track, which is driven by these throttling snares and bass, shrill and watery rhythm guitars too, that hit a great pace and give Morrissey's brutal and contemptuous shots at the monarchy an explosive punch. The words alone are on this deep level of seething nastiness, even if Morrissey is more flowery and poetic about his language than, let's say, Johnny Rotten was on God Save the Queen. The following cut, Frankly, Mr. Shankly, is one of my favorite tracks here. The song is a tongue-in-cheek meditation on success, while also referencing some disagreements that Morrissey had with the head of Rough Trade Records at the time, calling him out as a flatulent pain in the ass, as Morrissey also details his aspirations to be famous, saying he prefers it to being righteous and holy, which is funny because if there's one thing to know about Morrissey, it's that he will kneecap his own success just to say what is on his mind pretty much faster than anyone. His own self-awareness of this is essentially what inspired the lead single to the album, Big Mouth Strikes Again. But as far as Shankly goes, I've always loved the subtle ska nods and the instrumentation on this track from the bass and upstroked guitar. Then you have those springy, almost alien melodies that soar in on the chorus that sound fantastic, sweet, addictive. I Know It's Over is another highlight for me on the record that showcases the band's knack for aesthetic beauty and dynamics. The instrumentation on this cut is so colorful and sweet and subtle. It is a ballad fit for a slow dance, with sparkling guitars underscored by a rhythm section you can really get lost in. Plus, this is one of the many moments on this LP where Morrissey's writing and vocals truly shine. Really bittersweet in its portrayal of loneliness, equating the end of a love with death itself, which is supremely dark, yes, but Morrissey also works these poignant rays of light into the lyrics too. It kind of makes you wonder where this guy went. The themes of loneliness and isolation continue onto the even more agonized and tortured Never Had No One Ever, which narratively adds in this sort of creepy, I'm outside your house now angle, which really sends a chill down my spine. Meanwhile, Cemetery Gates is pure bittersweet jangle pop bliss. The peppy drums and guitars are infectious as hell, sound totally like a sunny day, but the lyrics of the track read more like a dark comedy, with two people meeting for an afternoon cemetery date, favorite writers in hand. Sad sentiments about all the death around them in the cemetery are made, and in response, one of them drops this, very witty, quotable, it's claimed to be original, when in fact it is not original. Morrissey's protagonist recognizes it to be plagiarized. Then much of the track from there is spent, finger wagging that lack of originality and essentially the lie. That intense performance energy from the first track returns on Big Mouth Strikes Again. Then the heavenly Baroque pop string sections as well as the regal vocal melodies from Morrissey on The Boy with the Thorn in His Side are too beautiful for words. I could also see a young Stuart Murdoch taking notes on this one the moment that this track was blasting out of his speakers for the first time. There's also the very insolent and silly Vicar in a Tutu, which sees the band's and Morrissey's sense of humor on full display, especially with this very slick electric country instrumental that sounds like a neon-lit night in Las Vegas. Morrissey is a bit washed out on the track in terms of effect, so it makes his talk-sung verses a little unintelligible. But if you dig into the lyrics on this track, you will catch his impossibly English wit portraying, yes, a priest in a questionable outfit as a means of highlighting the reserved social limitations of modern life, as well as just kind of maintaining a place of authority, especially religious authority. There Is a Light That Never Goes Out, the second to last track on the LP, is maybe my favorite on the album, maybe my favorite Smith song of all time. I love the jangly, entrancing guitars, the groovy bass and drums, the sharp chord changes, as well as the airy touches of synthesizer throughout the track. But it's really Morrissey's lyrics and vocals that sell the song for me. First off, there's the sad transience of not having a home or a place to be in his lyrics. Then there's also the sentiment of wanting your last moments in life to be spent with someone you love, even if those final breaths are taken just moments before a 10-ton truck or a double-decker bus comes barreling into the car you're riding shotgun in. Some Girls Are Bigger Than Others is a suggestive closer that in my opinion is just okay. Kind of light in terms of substance, especially when comparing this track to many others on the album, though the sparkling, reverb-heavy, and mid-paced rock instrumental does make for another entrancing moment in the track list. Final thoughts on this record: it is excellent. Very good rock album, very good pop album. Production, writing, performances, style, and lyricism are all high grade, and it's for those reasons that The Queen Is Dead continues to be one of the standard bearers for the indie genre. And yeah, it's great. It's classic as hell. And I hope that you have listened to it and enjoyed it. So yeah. Transition. Have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, The Smiths, forever.